Now, the final topic and for the final segment of the show today, I'll be getting into is it time for Mike Hopkins to be fired, I guess, as the Husky head coach? Now, the answer to this question is it's tough. It's not an easy question to answer, but I do think that they should fire him and try to find a new coach. But the likelihood of them actually doing that, I don't think is very high. So, just starting off with why I don't think they'll be firing Mike Hopkins is because he'd have to be bought out of his contract. It's not like he can just be fired and they don't pay him any more money. He's got guarantees in his contract. And if you look at the last time the Huskies fired a head coach, Lorenzo Romar, one of the main sticking points for him staying along for so long and for them maybe not wanting the firing was, I read somewhere, because of his buyout. And Romar's buyout was $3.2 million. Now, that's no small sum of money, but if you look at Hopkins' buyout, so if he was fired, his buyout would be over $12 million. So if $3.2 million was a sticking point to firing their past head coach in Romar, then I mean, I could think of 12 million reasons why the Huskies would keep Mike Hopkins as their head coach and not fire him, especially looking at what's going on with the pandemic and the Huskies athletics not being in a financial situation that they would clearly like and be flexible enough to lose out on $12 million in production from it. Now, that 12 million would be distributed over the remaining length of his contract. So it's not like it's a large sum of just 12 million they'd have to fork over. It'd be over the rest of his contract, which in 2019 was when he re-signed for 6 years, $17.5 million deal. Now, getting to the reasons why I think the Huskies should fire him, there's kind of two main reasons I'll touch on. The first one just being his recruiting. And his recruiting has not been good. He's had 4 recruiting classes so far. And just starting off in 2017, that class ranked 7th in the Pac 12, 27th overall. His next one was 8th in the Pac 12, 41st overall. He then had that recruiting class with McDaniels and Stewart, which even being headlined by 2 5-star players, 2 top 8 players in the nation, that recruiting class was only 4th in the Pac 12. So he didn't really have any depth really behind it, or nearly as much as some of these other Pac 12 schools were getting. Now, his most recent recruiting class, this past one, 2020, it was unranked as he didn't have a single recruit sign at the start of the year. So that was another reason recruiting wise was why people made arguments for Romar to stick around. He was getting these recruits. I mean, he had Michael Porter Jr. lined up to sign with the Huskies. He was the top player in Washington, one of the top players in the nation. Yet, even with that going, they still chose to let him go. Now, the Huskies don't have to worry about that with Hopkins, as for this upcoming class of 2021, he currently has 1 player signed, 4-star center who's only 205 pounds. So if Michael Porter Jr. wasn't a sticking point to keep Romar, then I don't see why this player would be either. Hopkins has also shown an inability to recruit locally in this class of 2021, with losing out on players including Paolo Banchero, who's the #2 recruit in the nation, Caden Perry, a 4-star, number 57 recruit in the nation, 4-star Shane Noel, who happens to be the brother of Jalen Noel, who played for UW in his first year under Hopkins. He missed out on all 3 of those top 100 recruits in the nation and top guys in the state of Washington. Now, Shane Noel especially was a big miss, as you had his brother Jalen Noel here at UW. His brother clearly either didn't push him to come to UW, didn't kind of give the thumbs up based on Mike Hopkins coaching to his brother to help him decide to go to UW. So Shane Noel chose Arizona over UW. Now, missing out on recruits is one thing, but what Hopkins has also done is not win. In his 4 years here at in the Pac-12, he's had 1 winning season. That was 2018-2019, where he went 27-29, lost in the second round of the NCAA tournament. Now, last season is what I kind of hold over him the most, because he had his best team, I'd say, that year. He had those star freshmen, the two top 8 freshmen in the nation. He had Quade Green, who, when he came out of high school in 2017, was a 5-star recruit and had a great year at Kentucky. He had all these great players. Jamal Bay was a 4-star the year prior, and he had transitioned nicely and kind of developed nicely. Nas Carter had also developed nicely for the Huskies. With all those pieces at the start of the year, you look at that team as a tournament team, as a team that's going to make some noise. Yet, by the end of the year, they were 15-17 and 5-13 in conference play. So that was clearly a disappointment last year. And now currently Hopkins is only 1-9, and he hasn't won a single game in the conference. But going into this year, I guess you could say it was going to be a struggle. He didn't recruit well, and that's on him. So overall, Hopkins, through his 4 years here at UW, hasn't shown me enough. He hasn't shown me that he could put this team in a position to win enough games, to get to the tournament, and to really make a splash and to compete for a championship in the coming years. So that's really the reason why I think the Huskies should just fire